Biden is finally washing his hands off the EVs. After initially championing the production of EVs as one of his governance agendas, Biden has been forced to ditch the plan as both the general public and the automakers vehemently refuse to ride along with him. EVs are languishing in dealership lots while traditional gasoline-powered cars are flying off the lots. But why exactly did Biden ditch his gargantuan plan for EVs? And why is the public's growing resistance against EVs? It began in 2021 when President Joe Biden signed an executive order that strongly encouraged the federal government to buy zero-emission vehicles alone. They believe government vehicles will be the rolling billboards for the public who are uncertain about electric cars. While the plan remained unachieved, Biden took a huge step further by mandating all car manufacturers to increase their EV production, regardless of their preference. The plans are designed to ensure that 2/3 of new passenger cars and a quarter of new heavy trucks in the U.S. are all electric by 2032. If implemented as proposed, the rules would mean a quantum leap for the auto industry in the United States, where just 5.8% of new cars and less than 2% of trucks sold in 2022 were all electric. Biden even went as far as imposing a $4 billion penalty on companies failing to meet EV sales quotas. However, he's now hastily reversing course, as the plan was faced with huge resistance from the car manufacturers and customers. Major automakers such as Ford, GM, and Stellantis found themselves in a tight spot with the government's mandate. They grappled with the daunting task of electrifying their predominantly truck-focused fleet within the given time frame. They're concerned about the massive investments and the relentless countdown. But that's not all. According to Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, the plan is dogmatic because there is difficulty in sourcing raw materials essential for EV battery production, such as nickel and lithium. With the scarcity of the raw materials, he fears that the prices of EVs will experience a massive surge in the future and believes companies are merely peddling an illusory vision when it comes to promoting EV sales among the public. Then there's Mary Barra, CEO of GM, teetering on the brink of the company downfall due to sluggish EV sales. Ford is also reeling, facing a $4 billion deficit and selling each car at a $36,000 deficit. It's not just the corporations feeling the pressure. Even the formidable United Auto Workers Union, UAW, has begun expressing concerns. Initially, they were in support of Biden's eco-friendly vision, but then reality set in. They realize that the job of many workers is on the line, given that EVs generally require fewer workers for assembly. Now, the union's support for Biden's re-election is at stake. Sensing the increasing pressure from different directions, the Biden administration appears to be dialing back the acceleration on the EV initiative. The car automakers are given more time to ramp up the sales of electric vehicles by delaying the requirement until after 2030. So why the change in plan, right? Well, there are a variety of factors at play. First, President Biden is balancing multiple priorities, including addressing climate change, while also supporting the auto industry and maintaining good relations with labor unions. Let's not forget that the election is around the corner. With re-election on his mind, Biden knows that he needs to keep a wide range of interests happy. Also, there's a lackluster adoption from the customer side. The high price of EVs, the lack of charging infrastructure, and the limited range of EVs are all the major reasons customers aren't embracing EVs as enthusiastically as hoped. In fact, some people who have already purchased an EV have decided to give it up in favor of a gas-powered car. Ford and GM have months of unsold EVs sitting on dealer lots. Ford even had to shut down the production of its F-150 Lightning pickup truck due to a lack of demand. Even GM had to scrap a $40 billion deal with Honda to produce cheaper EVs, with Burra admitting in an interview that the company can't produce cheaper EVs anytime soon. But in the midst of all these declining sales, one company continued to see strong demand, and that's Tesla. Being exclusively an electric vehicle manufacturer, Tesla witnessed robust EV sales figures. However, even Tesla isn't immune to the volatility of the market, as the company lost $80 billion last month courtesy of China. We're coming to that. Now the current state of the automotive market is gasoline-powered cars. Companies are slowly reverting to gas-powered vehicles. Those who have already invested in EVs are feeling apprehensive, as the barrage of negative publicity is causing EVs to depreciate at an unprecedented rate. Tesla itself acknowledged that its Model X could lose approximately $21,000 in value within just 1 year of ownership. Additionally, over time, battery degradation will exacerbate range anxiety. Adding to the turmoil, a new consumer report surfaced, highlighting significant areas where EVs may never match the performance of gasoline cars. But more on that later. So how was Biden persuaded to halt the sale of EVs? The first way is that nearly 4,000 U.S. auto dealers sent a letter to President Biden, asking him to reconsider his push for EV adoption. They argued that EVs aren't selling well and that the prices are too high for most consumers. So either the prices are lowered or he stops forcing people to buy. But Biden didn't respond to their concerns and instead continued to promote EVs. The dealers then took matters into their own hands and simply refused to sell EVs. This led to a chain reaction, resulting in declining car sales and a market crash. Let's look directly at the automakers. Late last year, about half of Ford's dealers decided to opt out of selling EVs in 2024. They're essentially saying no thanks to the additional training and investment that Ford is asking them to make in order to sell EVs. Last year, about 65% of Ford's dealers were ready and willing to invest in becoming EV dealers, prepared to spend at least $500,000 on the necessary upgrades. But then things started to change. EV hype started to die down, and now only 1,500 of Ford's dealers are still committed to selling EVs. This is a significant drop, and it's hard not to wonder what's going on behind the scenes at Ford. But Ford is trying to downplay the significance of this decision, saying that 90% of people will still have access to an EV dealer. But there's no doubt that this is a major setback for Ford's EV ambitions. It's been a roller coaster ride for the company, and this latest turn has left them in a precarious position. The Sierra Club recent report shed more light on the state of EV adoption among U.S. car dealerships, and the findings are alarming. According to the report, 2/3 of dealerships don't have any EVs to sell, and 45% of those that do have EVs won't sell them. Also, some states prohibit manufacturers from selling EVs directly to consumers. So if dealers are unwilling to sell EVs and car manufacturers can't sell them directly, what options are available to car buyers then? Meanwhile, Tesla's sales have been taking a hit lately, and Elon Musk's comments about BYD being a tough competitor may have had something to do with it. After he made those remarks, Tesla's shares dropped by $80 billion in a week, and their biggest market, China, has seen a decline in sales. In fact, in the last 3 quarters, BYD has been outselling Tesla by a significant margin. In an attempt to boost sales, Tesla has been dropping its prices, but even this has not been enough to turn the tide. Despite the U.S. government's efforts to entice consumers with a $7,500 tax credit, EV sales have not seen the boost that was expected. And a recent Consumer Reports study only added fuel to the fire, finding that EVs are 80% more likely to have reliability issues than gas-powered cars. What sounds truer than this? EVs are known to be fatal in an incidence of fire. While EV fires are rare, they tend to be spectacular events when they do occur. This is because the lithium-ion batteries that power EVs are essentially giant batteries of energy, and if they're damaged or defective, they can explode or burst into flames. Not only are EV fires difficult to extinguish, but they also pose a unique set of challenges for firefighters. It can take up to 27 times the amount of water used to put out a gas car fire to put out an EV fire. And in some cases, the fires have gotten so out of control. Tesla and GM's EVs have even been involved in fatal accidents while in autopilot mode, causing the deaths of pedestrians. You think that's all? Oh, there's more. Another problem is the case of the unexpected panel gaps. Imagine spending thousands of dollars on a car, only to get one that looks as if it's hastily assembled. Not only do they look bad, but they can also create annoying wind noise when driving on the highway, ruining the quiet experience that many EV owners desire. As if panel gaps and fires weren't enough, EV owners also have to deal with software bugs. These vehicles are packed with software that controls everything from driving assistance to climate control. But all that tech means that there are more opportunities for glitches. Owners have reported screens freezing, features disappearing, and even cars refusing to move, as if they've decided to take a sick day. Poor quality parts are just the icing on the cake. From trim that falls off at the slightest bump to door handles that simply refuse to open, it's a constant source of frustration. And to add insult to injury, there are also charging issues. EV owners have reported charging stations that are unreliable or simply won't work, leaving them stranded and wondering what went wrong. So it's clear that there is still a lot of work to be done to make EVs safe and reliable. So despite the incentives and encouragement from the government, people are still wary of making the switch to EVs. It's not just about the cost of the vehicles, but also about the logistics of owning and maintaining an EV. People want to know that they can rely on their car to get them where they need to go, and they need to know that charging stations are readily available. As a result, big automakers in the EV industry, like Ford and Tesla, have had to scale back their plans and reassess their strategies. It seems that perhaps the industry underestimated how long it would take for people to make the switch to EVs. So the Biden administration's new approach to EVs is a bit of a plot twist. The narrative that we all need to rush to EVs seems to have been replaced with a more measured, realistic approach. But it's not just about policy. It's also about technology. The EV dream might need some more time to become a reality. In the meantime, it's clear that there is a need to focus on infrastructure, affordability, and making them safe and reliable for use. What do you think? Has the EV revolution been overhyped? Or is this just a temporary setback, and EVs will eventually become the dominant form of transportation? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section.